Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to unpack the Hale Institute's incredibly powerful reflection on the 2026 Ridvan message. And listen, this isn't just about reading a document. We're talking about a massive, fundamental paradigm shift in how we approach community building. We're going to see exactly how this reflection takes a profound call for transformation and distills it into something we can actually use in our daily lives.
To guide us through this, here's our roadmap. We'll be looking at a call to maturity, ego-free conversations, service as life, an outward-facing posture, the challenge of integration, and finally, towards unified organic growth.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, a call to maturity.
Right off the bat, this message marks a really significant pivot for us. We're seeing that maturity is no longer just defined by counting activities or numbers. It's all about spiritual quality. And at the absolute core of this is the concept of organic growth. This is growth that is natural, it's relational, and it's sustainable. It's not something you can just force to happen, you know? It's driven by genuine, deep learning and the natural outward expression of our teachings. Keep those three words, natural, relational, sustainable, locked in your mind, because they're basically the lens for everything we're about to discuss. That leads us right into Section 2, ego-free conversations. The reflection highlights this completely stark contrast between our old habits and the new culture we're trying to build. Think about how often conversations get bogged down because they're totally opinion-driven. Well, the shift here is moving toward learning based on actual experiences out in our neighborhoods. We have to move away from pushing our own personal views, basically sharing without ego, and stop fiercely defending our entrenched positions. Instead, we need to consult together to discover actual patterns. It's a real game changer.
And why does this actually matter? Well, removing ego from the equation literally accelerates our learning. When we finally let go of that desperate need to just be right, our unity strengthens naturally, and it removes so much social pressure from our spaces. Honestly, this is how we build real institutional wisdom. It creates absolute clarity for action because we're suddenly dealing with reality, not just someone's pet theories.
Which brings us to Section 3, service as life. There is this incredibly powerful quote to consider here. Ensure that structure serves life, not the other way around. I absolutely love this. Think of it like a trellis for a growing plant. The trellis is there to support the vines, for sure, but it definitely shouldn't choke them out. The whole idea is that service has to flow naturally from who we are, our identity. It makes planning feel light, flexible, and responsive, rather than this heavy, suffocating obligation. Organizing our community life this way has some truly incredible practical benefits. When service is just who you are, rather than some extra task tacked onto an endless to-do list, your joy goes way up. Authenticity grows. And look at this, burnout decreases. Because our actions are arising from real, genuine relationships instead of feeling like a forced recruitment drive, newcomers feel instantly welcomed. The whole community just comes spiritually alive. Let's move to Section 4, an outward-facing posture.
Okay, we need to make a vital, absolutely crucial distinction right here. Adopting an outward posture is not proselytizing. Not at all. It is simply about all of us taking responsibility to stop hiding our light. It's about sharing something beautiful organically. That means it is entirely free from pressure, and there are absolutely zero hidden agendas.
This natural, organic progression takes what sounds like a nice conceptual idea and turns it into a totally tangible roadmap. Everything, literally everything, starts with the foundation of genuine friendship. And from there, spiritual conversations just naturally pop up, right? Which then organically leads to collaborative service. And ultimately, this whole progression results in creating these wonderful shared spaces for reflection and hope. So why is this so critical right now? Well, because society out there is desperately searching for meaning, unity, and hope. By stepping outward, we aren't just running internal community activities anymore. We're actively meeting the immediate, real-world needs of the people living right next door to us.
But you know, that raises a really tough question. If all these concepts are so beautiful and so natural, why in the world does stepping out of our comfort zone to integrate them into our daily lives feel so incredibly difficult sometimes?
That takes us to Section 5, the challenge of integration. First off, we have to validate that struggle. It is completely normal.
Integration is not some one-time achievement you just check off a list. It's an ongoing, vulnerable practice. It requires real spiritual intuition, and it demands that we repeatedly step beyond those comfortable boundaries we set for ourselves. And the kicker? It unfolds entirely through practice. You can't just theorize your way into this. You actually have to do it. But remember, every single outward step you take expands that comfort zone a little bit more.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 6, Toward Unified Organic Growth.
This basically synthesizes everything we've talked about into one single, massive paradigm shift. It is a profound transition. We're moving from the ego of the past to the deep humility of the future. We're stepping away from isolated, rigid programs and building a living, breathing culture. It's all about transforming an inward-focused community into one that is radically, beautifully outward-facing. Furthermore, it's framed as a kind of trade-off. We're exchanging mere activity and comfort for a deeply rooted spiritual identity. It's a clear shift away from rigid planning over to dynamic learning. We're leaving the safety of comfort to step into genuine courage. Actually, according to the reflection, this shift right here, this is the very definition of true maturity.
Ultimately, the absolute core invitation of this message is simply to trust the process. By taking small, sincere steps outward, steps that are completely free from pressure and just full of love, we can trust that the way is going to open up for us. Our understanding is going to deepen naturally, and our actions will be guided. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to really chew on. What is the very first small, sincere, and outward-facing step you will take today to make your service a natural way of life? It doesn't have to be a massive thing. It just has to be sincere. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time.